Hey guys, this is your friend Raju Yadav, welcoming you on my YouTube channel, NID and Thrive. Today I'm back with my new video, a podcast with the speaker Ravisha Sharma. She's an MLS fellow and V scholar. She's from Bihar. MLS is a major league hacking and official student hackathon, which is 12-week internship. Basically, it is divided into 3 parts. As per your interest and expertise, you can apply in any one of these. That is open source, externships, and explorer track. And guys, if you find this video informative and interesting, please do support to my channel by subscribing and sharing to your friends. And keep watching this video till the last. So hey guys, today we have a very special guest, Ravisha Sharma, from a Bhaktiyar College of Patna, second year undergraduate. She is a MLS fellow, B scholar, and technical engineering fellow supported by Google. So congratulations, Ravisha, and thank you so much for being a part of this podcast, the first podcast which I'm gonna have with you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So directly we are moving to the questions. So Ravisha, first of all, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, okay. So as you mentioned, now I'm literally completing my second year. So I'm moving to my third year. And I'm from BC Patna. It's a state government college in Bihar. I'm also a WTF Google Scholar. So it is also called V Scholar, as you mentioned. And yes, I have been an MLH fellow as well. And yeah, these are the things that I'm doing. And recently, I also got selected as a Google DSC lead. So this is like a broad introduction. I'm really fond of learning technologies and interacting with people like you. And I like supporting people who are curious to learn and curious to interact with new people, etc. So that's like a broad introduction about me.
That's really good. So moving to the first question, that is, please tell your journey of coding. Means how did you get motivated and you started like coding programming from the beginning itself, and being from such a college like from tier 3 college, which is not something like IT or an IT, but it's will be a very inspiring for us to know about it. So please continue.
Okay, so my coding journey, I'll say that it began, like basic coding began in my school as well. Like we all have learned basic, basic HTML, etc., or basic programming skills. We all know that. Okay, even if you're not doing like programming on HackerRank, or if you're not learning any language, even then you are doing something or the other related to programming. So I'll say that it started around my school. And then before I was about to take admission in my college, I started learning basic C, and I started doing questions on HackerRank. So that's how my journey began. Now, I was only aware of C and I only knew how to code in C. But by the end of January of my first year, I got to know about the WTF scholarship. And for that, I had to give a Python test. So I did not know Python, but I was like, okay, I know programming, so I'll learn Python. It's okay. So since I knew C, it was not difficult for me to learn Python. So for the Python test, I learned Python. And then I qualified that test and I became a WTF Google Scholar. And when I got into this program, I started learning different ways of programming, like procedural programming. I also learned about object-oriented programming, etc. So these are the things that I did, and slowly I began exploring various technologies, and I started building projects. And a Flutter project was my first project that I did with my WTF fellow mates. Similarly, I kept learning a few things here and there, and that is how it began. Like by the end of second year, I was very proficient in C++, Python, C, everything. And I was also, learning object-oriented programming. And then I applied for MLH fellowship. And then over there, I did some very good projects. So this is how my coding journey, went across. Also, my college is around, tier 2-ish, you can say. It's not tier 3, but it's not tier 1 as well. So yeah, even in the beginning, like even I was not very confident of me doing a lot of things, because I thought that, once you are not in some IIT and IT, you'll just feel that you're not good enough, right? Your confidence level a little bit decreases. But it's okay. Things fall into place if you're confident and if you're looking for opportunities. So that's what happened with me. I was looking for opportunities and I was hungry for learning.
Wow.
So this is why my college, or not being from some tier one branded college, did not become a hurdle in my journey, and hopefully it will not become a hurdle further as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's about it.
that's really good. Like that was a really good point, as you mentioned, being from
Yeah.
second tier or third tier. Yeah, there is
Mhm.
something inside comes like we are not from NIT or IIT, top NIT or
Mhm.
IIT. So there
Yeah,
is
like
self doubt.
your friends go to, yeah, self-doubt, exactly. Your friends go to very good colleges and you are like,
Yeah,
they are there, I'm not there. Yeah, so things like that happen, but it's okay,
it
it's
is
life. You're living a
it's
life.
really very relatable to, as we can relate to our life
Yeah,
also, as we are from
yes,
first
yes.
year and we haven't met any seniors, and whatever we
Mm-hmm.
come to know from the Google, from like internet sources or YouTube only, from that
Mm-hmm.
only we came to learn something, programming, as we started from the college only. So that was
Mm-hmm.
really great, as you told that you mentioned you were very hungry of it, such things doing
Yes.
and
Hmm.
doing. Okay. So now, please mention, tell about MLH, means brief introduction
Hmm.
about it, that how someone should apply for it and what it
Hmm.
is, how it is beneficial, for how it will be beneficial for them.
Okay, so MLH fellowship, when I applied, there were three tracks in MLH fellowship. So one was Explorer, the other was the open source track, and the third was I think it was software engineering. No, it was externship. Yeah, there were
Oh,
three tracks. So since I was a little kind of a beginner, I thought I'll apply to Explorer track. Okay, and you can also go ahead and apply to open source track, and you can contribute to various projects and learn about open source. So I was a part of Explorer track, and basically in the Explorer track we used to build projects in teams. Okay, and in the last week of the fellowship, we also contributed to other projects. So this was the like broad thing that we did in the Explorer track. Now MLH fellowship tracks has changed a bit, so I'll request that the viewers can go ahead and check the website, and then just check the latest tracks and how they function, etc. For my cohort, it was like that. Okay, so you asked who can apply. So I think every student who is a college student can apply, and also professionals can apply, but the slots for professionals are limited, and it's mostly like it's more open to the students, because obviously students need to explore and learn more. Yeah, but professionals can also go ahead and do it as a part-time work.
so yeah, as you mentioned, from for a beginner, so which one will be the good to choose from these all three?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, your voice cracked.
Hello.
Yes,
So as you
repeat.
mentioned, there is a three. Uh, it is divided on with three. So which one will be good to choose for the beginners? As you told that you were same as a beginner, so you choosing the.
Hmm.
So which one
So
will
I
be?
think right now, yeah, right now I think there is one pre-fellowship track which can give you an insight about how the fellowship works. So that can be a very good option for beginners, the pre-fellowship track. Also, if you're interested in open source and you want to learn open source, then you can also go ahead and apply to the open source track. So for beginners, I think this would work, because I think the other track, one of the tracks is not open for Indian people, and the other track is for a little experienced people. So I'll say that pre-fellowship and open source would be good options. Yeah.
So means so while filling an application, did you face any difficulty or challenges that, or any
Hmm.
means confusion about it, that how to go through?
Hmm.
As a
Okay,
I
so
think it takes about 30 to
hmm,
40 minutes to fill the form, so it might be a long
hmm,
process.
hmm,
I think so. Please tell
So
about. Yeah.
I took some time to fill the form. It was not just in one day that I just sat and filled the entire form and did well.
Yeah.
No, I took time. I took time to write the essays. So if you're aware of it, the form has essay questions, okay, in which they ask you about your passion towards technology. Why do you want to become an MLH fellow? Your purpose of joining. Suppose if you're applying for the open source track, then probably they'll ask you about your experiences with open source projects, or they'll ask you about why are you interested in open source. So these kind of essay questions are there. So for the essay questions, I think the essay questions are the very important part of the application. So I'll suggest that uh, make your essays very crisp, okay, and don't exaggerate or put points from here and there. Be honest. For example, if they are asking you that why do you want to become an MLH fellow, then clearly think why are you applying? Okay, just sit and think like why do you want to become an MLH fellow, and then just note down all the points. For example, you want to become an MLH fellow because you want to have experience with projects. Number two, you want to become an MLH fellow, let's say, because you want to interact with different people and learn things. Okay, so these are the 2-3 points that will come to your mind. Just note them down and write a crisp essay and write good essays. So I think essays are a very important part. So one thing would be that. And second would be, I think there is a part for code sample. So you should submit a project in which you have significantly contributed and you know very well, like you know what libraries are you using, you know what things are you doing in it. So I'll suggest that submit some project in which you have properly contributed and you know about it. So these are the two important things. Apart from that, it's just basic. It's about you.
Okay, that's good. So, and how was your interview parts? Like,
Hmm.
please tell about it.
Okay, so yes. After the application, if your application gets shortlisted, you'll be invited for 2 interviews. Okay. For my cohort, it was like that. It might change with time a little bit. So you can check with your cohort. And the first interview was, I think, a behavioral interview. So what a behavioral interview is that they'll generally ask you the things that they have already asked in the application, like your eligibility, what you're doing, what all you're doing apart from college. Okay. And they'll ask you about your passion, about your favorite project, about your favorite technology, etc. And then there will be a second interview, which would be a technical interview. So in the technical interview, you'll be talking about the project that you have submitted. So in case you have submitted like a GitHub repository, you'll be going through that repository and you'll be talking about the technologies that you have used, how you have integrated your front end, back end, etc. You can talk about anything, whatever, like how whatever explains your project well. You can talk about that in the technical interview. So both interviews are very short, like they're like 15-20 minutes max to max. So you need to be very clear about your answers. You need to be confident. So these are the things
Yeah.
that you can do to get to the interview.
Okay, good. So
Yeah.
now we can. Okay, then tell about something related to your V Scholar. Then.
So it's called the Women Tech Makers Engineering Fellows, and it is a supported program by Google. And I got selected in it, as I mentioned, in the end of my first year, almost end of my first year. And it's basically a 2-year experiential program where you have boot camps. Right now, we are having online boot camps, obviously, and we do a lot of stuff like obviously the programming stuff, learning to program well and learning to code well, and data structures and algorithms, object-oriented concepts. Also, apart from that, we have regular Google mentoring sessions. We also have various other sessions like communication sessions, or in recently we also started with emotional wellness session as well. So we have a lot of good sessions that improve your overall personality. Plus, you also have very good holdover concepts. Basically, it helps you to prepare well for the placements or the internships. Yeah, that's
Okay,
about it.
that's good, Ravi. So there will be, I have some questions which is just can be answered, I think, within 1 or 2 sentences, just like rapid fire questions. It is related to MLH only. So,
Mhm.
like, can someone participate in multiple programming program? Like,
At once?
yeah.
No. In MLH, you can like in one cohort, you can be a part of one program.
And second is it considered as an internship or job or a form of employment?
Um, it can be considered like an internship. Like if anyone asks you that have you done any internship, you can mention MLH fellowship. It is mentioned internship alternative in the website, but yeah, I clearly mentioned as an internship. Obviously, it is more of a learning experience than working experience. So it's between kind of personal learning as well as internship, something like that. So yes, you
Yeah.
can mention it like an
And is it only for students or for some non-professional people as well?
by non-professionals, you mean what? Like example?
Like, those who not, I think, after students after qualifying their graduation or something, they can apply for it.
I'm not sure about this, but yes, it's mostly open to students like who are studying at some university. And I remember in my cohort, in some other pod, there was also a woman who was already working. So she was a professional. So I'm not sure about non-professional, but for students and professionals, it's open.
And if someone did some mistakes in while applying for application filling, so means will they
Mhm.
get any chance to correct it? Like it is going to the first impression on them, so they are going to judge by the application only. So is there any chance
Mhm.
like this?
Actually, no, you can't correct your application after you have submitted. Like
Okay.
the thing is that you get a lot of time to write your application, and there's no such deadline that you have to submit it by this date. So you don't really have a time constraint. Even if you are like submitting it really late, your application gets shifted to the next cohort. Suppose you're applying for the spring cohort, then probably your application can be shifted to the next cohort, right? So I'll say that instead of making a mistake, you should just take your time and fill the application properly, because I don't think you can edit it after submitting.
Okay, then yeah, it's good. This all about the today MLH. You have explained very well.
Hmm.
So now there will be, means I'm asking about how. Please share some tips to the me like students, like beginner who is going to be part of it, who are interested in it, doing such things.
So
Like
tips
because
for MLH?
MLH, students who wanna be part of it, like who want to apply it. That because from such college, not only such college, means many students do not know about it, about such things,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm. So,
how should they
yeah.
start to prepare it.
Mm-hmm. So for MLH, I'll say that you need to first think that what do you need from MLH. For example, me, I needed some good projects. Like I wanted to experience, technical team projects, like working with people and stuff. So that is why I knew that I wanted to build projects. So I wanted to apply to Explorer track. So I was thinking like how to, which project should I submit? And the project that I submitted was actually incomplete when I applied. Okay. So it's not really okay. So none of the projects is like really complete. Even like the biggest of websites that are out there, they already, they keep solving bugs and they keep adding features, etc. None of them is complete totally. But obviously, my project was having a bug basically, and if that bug couldn't have been resolved by the interview, then I might not be able to explain it also. So that time, what I did was I was just working on that project. I was making things work. I was trying to make it, I was trying to make it meaningful, basically, so that whenever the interview comes up, I'll be able to explain it properly. So that was my purpose. Like I wanted to submit a good project in which I know about it completely, and I have worked on it properly. So when I fixed that bug and everything was working and I had further plans to do it properly, so I was very confident that this is my project and I can do it properly, right? So I'll say that first of all, think that what you need from MLH, and then you can decide that how to prepare for it. So for projects, you can just choose very good projects from your end, or start building good projects. And even if it is like a simple project, but if you're confident about it, it's good. Okay, you can talk about it. Similarly, if you're applying to open source, you can start exploring dots of open source and learn about, how to contribute to various other projects, etc. For example, you can start with web dev projects. For example, if there is a website, you can fix its buttons or do
Yeah.
some kind of very simple open source contributions, so that you have, a crux of it, like how to do it. And that's how you can begin, and that's how you can start preparing for MLH fellowship. And once you think that you are ready, don't refrain yourself from applying, because uh, if you're applying, there's no harm. Like there's no harm in applying. So I'll just say that even for experience, you can go ahead and apply. And yeah, that's how you can prepare. So these will be my tips. Like don't refrain yourself from applying and explore things so that you know your interest. Yes.
So that's great. Yeah, thank you. And at last, one last question. Please tell about what is a difference between GSOC and this MLH fellow. How these both things are different. Just in a brief way.
So I have not been a part of GSOC, so maybe I'm not really the right person to ask this. So maybe you can ask someone who has been a part of both the programs. So I think GSOC is like, I don't know, but for MLS fellowship, I know that they focus a lot on learning, and they are really like, will give you the resources to, will give you the space to learn. Basically, no one will be on your head and saying that why is it not done till this date. Okay, it's not like that. People will be like, oh, it's okay, you're learning, you're making mistakes, it's okay. So that's how MLH works. For my cohort, it was very helpful. Like I was a beginner, but I never felt that, people are telling me that you can't do it. Okay. um, Obviously in GSOC also people are very helpful. I've heard that people are very supportive for each other, but since I have not been a part of it, I don't think I'm the right person to comment on it.
Okay.
But for MLH, I gave whatever information I had.
Sure. It's complete detail about it. So thank you so much for it. And thank you so much for giving your valuable time and sharing your experience with us. And so guys, if you have any questions related to it, you can get connected to Ravisha. I'll share her LinkedIn profile in the description box. Get connected and take help. So that's all for today. Thank you, Ravisha. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.